Hello, I am Vitaly Portnikov. The presidential elections in Sri Lanka can be considered one of the most important in the history of this island nation, and not only because the new president of the country will determine its economic course after a prolonged crisis, but also because the election of a new president could significantly determine which of the leading countries in the region Sri Lanka will align with in the coming years, if not decades, towards China or towards India, influencing the future and beyond. We can say that there is currently not only an internal political struggle unfolding in Sri Lanka, but also the ongoing struggle between India and China for their influence in the region. And this is not the first such story. As is known, the recent presidential elections in the Maldives resulted in the victory of a candidate who was oriented towards Beijing and the defeat of a candidate who was oriented towards New Delhi. The results were indeed quite unpleasant for the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. The cooperation between the Maldives and India has taken on a completely different character. Indian military personnel were forced to leave the archipelago, and they are being replaced by military personnel from the People's Republic of China. The new president of the Maldives has taken a course towards mutual understanding with Beijing. The same could happen in Sri Lanka. Currently, there are discussions about 4 main candidates who are competing for the position of head of state. However, the current president of the country, the acting president, who was recently indeed actually the head of government, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is unlikely to have a chance of being elected as the head of state. Ranil Wickremesinghe recently took charge of the country after it plunged into a severe political and economic crisis. He stabilized the situation, but at the same time is perceived as the person responsible for all the problems faced by the residents of Sri Lanka in recent months. And of course, the residents of the island are unlikely to vote for Namal Rajapaksa, the son of one of the former presidents of the country, because his family is perceived as being a large clan responsible for the economic and financial collapse of the island. So, who is left? The popular leader of the opposition bloc today is Sajith Premadasa, the son of one of the former presidents of Sri Lanka. Well, this is a political tradition of dynasties. And Anura Kumara Dissanayake, a member of parliament and leader of the left opposition bloc. These 2 candidates are indeed considered the most highly viable contenders for the position of the new president of the state. They are very well regarded, and the difference in their approaches to the economic future of the state is by no means the defining difference. For support of China and support of India in their respective policies and strategies for the long-term economic growth and development of their respective nations, Anura Kumara Dissanayake is indeed ideologically close to the Communist Party of China. The left bloc that supports him emerged precisely from the unification of forces sharing the Chinese ideological platform, and this candidate would certainly be convenient for the leadership of China in order to establish a privileged partnership with the island. Of course, it would be better for India if Sajith Premadasa won. A politician with a background and family upbringing, he is a person who understands the importance of the relationship between India and Sri Lanka, and he is not considered a radical leftist politician whose economic approaches might be close today to the leadership of the People's Republic of China. Thus, the 2 main opposition candidates for the presidency of Sri Lanka are simultaneously candidates from the 2 leading countries in the region, and this creates a particular type of nervousness in political circles. It is still unclear whether any of the leading 4 candidates can win outright in the first round of the presidential elections in Sri Lanka. It is still unclear how stable the situation will be between the counting of votes in the first and second rounds of voting if no one manages to achieve victory in the first round. It is still unclear how external players will react to the victory of the candidate whose triumph will clearly contradict their own political interests. And this, by the way, is a very alarming trend, as any elections in the region today attract special interest from both China and India, because they are linked to their visions of the regional future and their relationships with each other. Therefore, the desire to reconsider an undesirable outcome becomes an important part of the foreign policy activity of both the Chinese and Indian leadership, as we could see during the election campaign in the Maldives. And this situation will soon be decisive not only for the Maldives or for Sri Lanka, it will be decisive for the entire region and beyond. In the near future, each of the states will have to ascertain which regional partner it prefers more, China or India, in their respective regions. Thank you, friends. Stay tuned to this channel, subscribe to it, participate in its sponsorship and distribution. Good luck.